Alright guys, so I've actually wanted to make this video for a really long time, just because I think a lot about this, I'm really passionate about this, and what more do you need? Also, this is college decision season. I know that some people are feeling disappointed, some people are feeling really happy, and people are just like very wide spectrum of feelings right now, is what I'm assuming there are. And I've been through this process, so I have experienced some of those ups and downs. Anyway, just a little bit of background on me. My name is Nina. I am a sophomore at MIT, and I did apply to like 22 colleges. So, and I know some people might be like, you go to grade school, like what are you talking about? But hear me out, okay? So I want to talk today about why the college that you go to doesn't matter in the long term. I'm just gonna throw out a huge disclaimer at the beginning of this video that there are gonna be a lot of small disclaimers throughout this video, because what I'm talking about is going to be like very generalized. Obviously, it's not going to apply to everyone. If your friend or someone you know is in a situation where this doesn't apply, just don't come for me, because I'm just trying to, speak to the masses. And I'm also going to be talking a lot from my personal experience. And I think the reason that, going to MIT has really put this in perspective for me is because it is considered to be a great school. And so, one would expect it to kind of have all the things that made it a good, whatever. Hear me out. So let's just dive into it. I will say I woke up like 30 minutes ago, so, don't come for me if I sound weird. But yeah, let's just get started. Bringing this back to college decisions, I know college decisions are coming out right now, and a lot of people are disappointed because, they maybe deserved to get into a school and they didn't. And here is probably a major reason for that. Colleges are a business, first and foremost. All they want is money. So are they really admitting the students that are the most deserving, or are they kind of just admitting the students that will get them the most money? Spoiler alert, it's the second one. I think common examples of this are, legacy admissions, which are just, colleges trying to keep it in the family so that the family is more likely to donate to them. I think Harvard, notoriously, their class is like 30% legacy students, which is crazy. Another example would be, athletic recruits that are just trying to better the athletic program because the athletic program makes them a lot of money. This is especially true in like big D1 schools. And it's like, sometimes it's just so obvious. Like, there's that example, I think LSU built a lazy river in their school that costs like $1 million to maintain, even though like right next to their lazy river, their libraries, their actual academic institutions are like crumbling, and they decided to spend their money on a lazy river because that attracts kids who have rich parents because they like those types of lifestyles. So LSU actually claimed that the lazy river is directly related to education because it's a health and wellness project. Not sure about that one. And there's this article that describes it as shrinking on academic related spending while offering bread and circuses to an increasingly out-of-state student body that pays more for the privilege. There's also throwback to that college scandal with Olivia Jade. I'm not going to dive into that because there's a lot of, great videos in that documentary that dives into it. I did watch the Varsity Blues documentary, by the way, and I highly recommend it. Go check it out. I mean, that was more related to athletic programs and coaches specifically, but I think still as a whole it speaks to the pandering to the rich, valuing money over authenticity, whatever. Even my school that I go to, I do think it's a really good school, but first and foremost, they're a research institution, and I think everyone knows that. And you know what research is? Research is expensive. And I do think MIT has done very well in like catering to the wants and needs of their students, but overall, the bottom line is still money for them. Also, if you go to LSU and you genuinely believe that the lazy river has greatly improved your health and wellness, I apologize. This video is sponsored by Princess Polly. If y'all don't know what Princess Polly is this online retailer, but they have the cutest clothes ever. As someone who often relies on retail therapy to make them feel better, I have a lot of experience with Princess Polly. The first thing I'll say about them is that their clothes are extremely cute, and they have clothes for like multiple occasions. Like, I've bought like interview shirts from there. I've also bought like going out shirts from there, and I've also bought like comfy shirts from there. Like, this sweater is from Princess Polly. It came in a set with shorts, and it's freaking cute, and I love the color. And all their clothes are great quality. So all the clothing from Princess Polly ships from within the United States, and there's free express shipping on orders over $50. And express shipping is like 3 to 4 days, which is a good deal because like whenever you're shopping, you spend more than that amount anyway, or at least I do. Princess Polly also offers Afterpay to all US customers. And yeah, I'm like not just saying this, it's actually true. All my clothing is from Princess Polly. Okay, that's a joke, but I'll say this much. I buy from Princess Polly a lot, and it's not because they sponsor me. It's because I love their clothing. Also, side note, I love their website. Go check out their website. It's beautiful. So you can use my code, which is just Nina20, to get 20% off your purchase, and you can use it as many times as you want. So yeah, thank you to Princess Polly for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to it. The next thing I want to talk about is what determines what gets you into a good school, quote unquote good school, excluding all the money related stuff I just talked about. Now, I think a lot of people could agree on the fact that the main thing that, gets you into a good school are your grades and your test scores. Obviously, extracurriculars factor into that as well, but I think that's a more nuanced discussion that I'm just not gonna dive in there. But let's talk about grades and test scores, shall we? Now, I don't know about you, but I personally believe that this is a deeply flawed mechanism to measure your intelligence or your persistence or your leadership skills or how hardworking you are. All those things that are supposedly what a college wants are not necessarily going to be reflected in your grades. Now, I don't know about you, but I went to a school that was fairly big, and what that meant was that you could be taking the same class as someone in your grade, but you'd have two different teachers, and the teacher that you had a really big impact on the grade that you got. In the most striking example that I could remember that I was a part of, we were assigned collectively as a grade, part of the curriculum was to write this certain essay. And in one class, the average was an A, and in my class, the average was a C. It wasn't that class was fundamentally better or fundamentally smarter, it was just the difference between the teachers, and that's totally out of your control. And now the next thing is test scores. Do we even have to talk about this? Standardized testing has been proven time and time again that it is not a good measure of intelligence. It's not a good measure of anything you want it to measure, because some people are just naturally great at taking tests and some people are naturally bad at taking tests, but that does not mean that they're smart or not smart. Also, the whole pandemic, virtual standardized testing kind of just exposed College Board. Also, College Board is a monopoly. Also, they're a scam. Anyway, I'm not trying to invalidate anyone's I worked really hard to get an A, because I have had those experiences where I had maybe a harder teacher and I still worked my ass off and I got a good grade. But I'm just saying that, the playing field isn't even. Sometimes people have to deal with a lot more shit. Ultimately, what determines whether you get into a good school or not is maybe not as accurate as people like to think. Now, the third thing I want to talk about, why your college doesn't matter, is because you don't have to go to a good college to be successful or achieve amazing things. I think this one's pretty obvious, and people told me this for a long time and I didn't believe them. Let me throw in a little anecdote for y'all. When I was in high school, as a lot of people know, I applied to a million schools. College was my whole life. Everything I did was for college. And I lived like that for the first 18 years of my life or so, just knowing that everything was gonna boil down to this college decision. And I'm here to tell you that that was stupid of me. And people told me, a lot of people were listen, you're gonna be great, you're gonna do great things. And I was okay, but what if I don't get into Harvard? That was literally my mindset. And then the summer before my senior year, I actually interned at this hospital in Boston. It's called Brigham and Women's Hospital. It's a pretty, good hospital by standards that I don't understand. And I got to shadow this attending in the orthopedics department. I was talking to him. He was super cool. He was telling me his life story. Basically, what he told me was that straight out of high school, he spent 10 years as a firefighter, then decided he wanted to go to college. And he applied to one school, which was his state school. And he got in, he went to med school, he did residency, and now he's making $1 million as an attending at this quote unquote good hospital. And to be honest, when he said that, it shocked me. I can't believe this even now, but I was so positive that getting into a good college meant you have a good job, and vice versa, that if you had a good job, that means that you went to a good college. So that was just a personal experience of mine that really opened my eyes, but clearly not enough because I still applied to 20 schools. But yeah, I hope y'all understand this, don't need to go to a good school to have a great job, to have a great career. In fact, you might end up in a career that you hate because, pressure of that school's environment causes you to turn to something that is considered to be I don't know. The next thing I want to say is that I think the majority of the benefits of going to a good school comes from the name recognition, which is so like stupid, you know what I mean? But it's true that if you're in a field that requires a lot of networking, then going to these big, great schools will probably get you more connections to start with. On the flip side, I feel like the reason that a lot of kids want to go to a certain school is also because of the name recognition. Like, yes, you might be in love with the programs there, but to be honest, like college A versus college B, like we haven't been there yet. We don't know what it's like. All we know is what we've been told. And what we've been told boils down to like the name, the status, how good it is. Maybe I'm just talking more from personal experience than anything else because I really did not research the programs as well as I should have. I literally applied based on name recognition. Okay, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just stupid, but I'm sure at least one singular other person has done that. So take that with a grain of salt and research the programs of the schools that you're applying to before you apply. And this kind of feeds into the next thing I want to talk about is that we don't really know what we want at age 18. Like, I'll say it. And I know that this whole phenomenon of like choosing your career at age 18 or younger is probably even more like strict in other countries, but I'm just going to talk about the US, and I still think that 18 is too young to be deciding something that will have such a major impact on your career. Another story time. When I was a senior in high school, I really thought I wanted to go to Columbia University, and that's where I applied early too. I'm a STEM person. I go to MIT, but I think when I was a senior, I kind of deluded myself into thinking that I really loved writing when I didn't. Also, when I was 18, I thought only in terms of the future and future me. And I really did zero like present self-reflection on what I wanted right then. I just wanted to go to a college that would fulfill the idea of who I wanted to be and not who I actually was. And I'm so thankful that Columbia rejected me. I mean, they deferred me and then rejected me. So I actually got disappointed twice. But I'm really thankful for that because I feel like if I had gone there, I would have been miserable. But I didn't know that when I was a senior in high school, even though that wasn't that long ago. Like, I thought that that was what I wanted, and it wasn't. If you didn't get into a college that you were really hoping to get into, just know that you'll probably be happier somewhere else. And again, this is a broad statement, but you know, there are a million colleges to choose from, and you really think that that one specific college was the one for you, like the one. I'm not trying to invalidate anyone's dreams over here, but I'm just saying that, you know, there are a lot of colleges, which means there are a lot of schools with similar programs. And so, yeah. Now, lastly, you know, we could talk about this all day. We could talk about, you know, why they want to make money, why, you know, their networking is better, blah, blah, blah. Ultimately, I hope that we all want to go to college to get an education. That's what we want, right? But ultimately, we go to college for the education, right? I hope so. So is the education at good schools actually better? The short answer is no. The long answer is that it's actually like really hard to measure, but obviously you could measure it using like income after college. But the thing is that students who go to a good school are also highly correlated with other income earning related factors. Like, you probably have more wealth to begin with, you probably have a better support system, you probably had a great education in like high school, you probably don't have to work to support your family, and like a million other things. There was a study that looked at students who had the qualifications to go to a good school, and decided to go to a different school instead. And what it found was that those students earned just as much as their counterparts in the good schools. It was also published again in 2007 with new data, and the conclusions were the same. Also, I just want to say that literally half of MIT's courses are online for free. Literally just Google MIT OpenCourseWare. Same for Harvard. They put tons of their courses online for free. And what I'm just, you know, gonna throw out there is, if it's free online, you know, how good can it be? And don't think that that's like some diluted version of the courses. That's what they made us do. Maybe isn't like what the norm is, but like basically the content is the same. So what have we learned today? 1, colleges are a business. All they care about is money. 2, the mechanisms that determine whether you get into a good school or not are deeply flawed. 3, you don't have to go to a quote-unquote good school to achieve amazing things or be successful. 4, a majority of the benefits of going to a good school comes from the name recognition, which is stupid. I know that the benefits are real, but the premise is stupid. 5, what we think is the best fit for us at age 18 might not actually be the best fit for us. And lastly, the education, which is what I hope we all actually go to college for, is not necessarily better at a quote-unquote good school than at a different school. And now I just want to say that I know that getting into a good college is still super important to a lot of people. It was extremely important to me when I was going through this process. If you did get into a good college, don't think that you didn't deserve that, because more than likely you were extremely deserving of that position. But if you didn't get into like the school of your dreams, or you feel like you got stiffed by a lot of good schools, just know that like there is so much more that goes into college decisions than what you've done as a person. On top of that, there is so much more that goes into like the rest of your life and your career besides just, you know, the college you go to. So yeah. So just to wrap up, you know, if you feel like this video takes away from your accomplishments or kind of invalidates your feelings, then just really ignore it. I'm mainly trying to speak to the people who didn't get into a school that they might have wanted to get into, and they're feeling really discouraged about it, and they're feeling less of themselves because of it. I just want you to know you're still destined for great things. I love all of you. Thank you for 70k subscribers. That's like awesome. That's amazing. I never even thought I'd get this far. Like, what the fuck? Lastly, just speaking from personal experience, you know, I still think my college experience was amazing, but I don't think necessarily it was because of the school. In fact, I think that oftentimes the environment that, you know, this culture of extremely like smart students has fostered is really toxic in some ways. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking before I get into more trouble. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you again to Princess Polly for sponsoring this video. Use my code that I'll leave in the description box, and it's right here, to get 20% off any purchase, basically. I'll see you next time. Bye.